Hello Linux lovers, my name's Wimpy, welcome to my world. Really welcome to my world. I'm going to be talking about the sort of last 24-hour release crunch as Ubuntu MATE 21.10 is about to hit the streets tomorrow. So I'm going to be going over like what I was doing last night. What was I up until the early hours of the morning doing last night in order to prepare for this release. What's still to be done, and I invite you to ask me your questions about this sort of crazy time of the year, and also going to touch on other things I would have, I could have been doing, or maybe I did squeak in a little bit of fun after I'd done a bit of work or between doing bits of work yesterday. So yeah, Ubuntu MATE 21.10 is up for release tomorrow. And it's I'm uncharacteristically not well prepared for tomorrow. Hello Takov, welcome back. How are you doing? I have my standard issue 2 mugs of tea, appropriately branded today. Gosh, really need those. So I'm doing this stream now because you'll have noticed that with the Open Source Summit and KubeCon, I've been very busy with streaming for work, so that's been happening over on the Slim DevOps channel. We're doing 2 live streams today for KubeCon, one at the virtual event, which unless you have a virtual ticket you don't see, but fortunately because Aisha and I are good people, we are going to be delivering a more detailed version of that presentation on Twitch over at Slim DevOps. So Aisha's done some excellent research into the top 100 most impactful containers, and we're going to be going over her analysis into the top 100 containers and what she learned. Good morning. So welcome back Yannick. Hello Linux Paul. Oh, and thank you, by the way. We'll get to that in a moment. King Egypt, welcome back. You're looking forward to tomorrow. I'm not. I've got so much to do. We'll get into that in a moment. Linux Paul says they've already upgraded their systems to 21.10 and it's been solid. No issues to report. Well, that's good because I'm going to show you something interesting in just a moment. And Yannick says colleagues just got back for lunch. Oh, okay, fair enough. Bye Yannick, catch you later. So if any of you have got questions about like what the closing days, hours of an Ubuntu release looks like from sort of, a developer's perspective, either, from what's going on Canonical side of things, it wasn't so long ago that I was there doing this stuff, so I know what the release team is up to right now, but then also from the flavors and also sort of the pressures and strains of squeezing in a bunch of responsibilities for this community project around your own personal life. So good morning Mike, how you doing? Oh man, I really need these cups of tea this morning. It was a late night last night, and it's good, Paul, that you've not experienced any issues, because boy howdy has the last couple of days been a fun-filled bug fest, but I'll show you exactly what that looks like in just a moment. So I tell you what, ever since Twitch went public domain, it's been playing up. It's definitely, there's definitely something got a ghost in the machine somewhere. Right then, good morning, RJ. How you doing? You said you don't feel as prepared as you usually do. Why is that? So I tell you what, I'll answer that question now. Usually at this point, with a day to go, I have written up the release notes, and the team will have contributed to the release notes. And you will notice that traditionally the Ubuntu MATE release notes are comprehensive and detailed, and have not started that at all. That I think I've literally written about 4 bullet points about 5 months ago. So I know that that is a solid 6 hours work. So somewhere between now and release, I need to find 6 hours in order to do that, and I simply don't know when that's going to happen. And I like to get them done before now because usually I like to give like some of the websites like OMG Ubuntu a bit of a heads up and send them a draft so they can start preparing their articles. Otherwise, you just get like a footnote, you know, Ubuntu MATE did a release too, because they've got no good information to go off. So that's what I haven't done. And that's weighing on me because, as I was just saying, you know, for work, we're at KubeCon. Obviously, I'm not physically there. I'm running the virtual side of things for our KubeCon event, hence the company branding. So I know I've got a very busy day ahead of me. So I'm starting my day slightly later because I know I'm going to be running later into the evening. So I don't know when I'm going to squeeze all of this in. Hey TC, welcome back. How you doing? Hello Luke, how are you? You remember how this goes. Luke used to work with me at Canonical, so not unfamiliar with this. So yeah, slightly behind schedule on the release note side of things, and it's usually the capturing the screenshots and all of that stuff that just takes so much time. You know, it doesn't sound like a big thing, but when you've got to do a dozen of them, it all adds up. So yeah, I need to squeeze that in at some point. I'm sure it'll be fine. So King Egypt says my Z-Sync's a way to sort of suck down the delta of the latest changes on the images. Said 17% had changed overnight. Yeah, everything. The technical term is the whole world was respun last night. So I was chatting.
Thank you for the follow, nice guy 0000110.
Thanks, nice guy. Is that John the nice guy or another nice guy? So I was chatting to the release team at, I don't know, about 3 a.m. And I'll get to the fixes in a moment, but I released some bug fixes, and then I got a bunch of questions. Are these release critical? Because they were like, no, we're making the images now and you're landing bug fixes. And they wanted to know, did these have to be in the images? So that's probably an important thing to understand. You'll be familiar with like the apt archive, you know, the thing where you apt update, apt upgrade, and you get updates. And a lot of people are curious as to why it is they download the ISO image for 2110, let's say, and they install it, and there is immediately a slew of updates waiting for them. Well, the reason for that is that the archive is actually frozen a week before release. So last Friday, the breaks get put on the archive. So if I upload anything to the archive, it doesn't go into the impish release pocket. It sits there waiting. And unless I make representation to say this is critical, you like cannot install or operate, you know, Ubuntu MATE on the live media to install it or use it, then those updates don't get put into the new ISOs, and that's to minimize the amount of, you know, ISO refreshes that happen and the changes that happen in those ISO images from a QA point of view. Because every time there's a new ISO image, QA teams have to go off and rerun their battery of QA tests. So everything's frozen. And that's why people will find and fix bugs. I'm going to show you a bunch that I've been working on the last couple of days. And those are not in the ISO image, but they are in that queue. So the release goes out, and then that backlog of bug fixes gets shoveled into the release pocket, and that's why on release day you have lots of updates, because those are the bug fixes that people found in like the last week of the release window. So let's have a look here. So that's why there was a big change in Z-Sync last night, because yeah, there was a complete respin of all the ISO images. So the other thing that needs to be done, and this is where I saw Takov said anything you could outsource. One of the things that all of the flavors will be grateful for right now is people to go and do QA ISO testing, you know, actually run up the ISOs. I'll show you how to do that in a moment, and we can use QuickMU to do it, because that was one of the things it was very much designed to do. So, TC, I don't recall what the Yaru colours issue was. I think it was it the panels not being coloured correctly? If that was the issue you're referring to, I haven't looked at that yet. I simply haven't had the time. So Corson says, so what type of streams do I usually do? So everything that I do here is Linux related. I'm a Linux developer, a long time Linux user. I used to work at Canonical on Ubuntu. I maintain Ubuntu MATE, one of the official flavors. So in the mornings, this time, everything you find here is me doing Linux development, desktop development, talking about Linux, trying out new tools. I stream using Linux exclusively. I maintain the snap of OBS. So I usually also go over tips and tricks of how to do interesting things with OBS. And when I play games, it's always using Linux and ostensibly racing games, which is a fantastic segue. Paul, thank you very much for the recommendation in the Discord channel last night for that racing game. What was it called? Let me just have a quick look. That game was Circuit Superstars. Let's just go and take a little look at this, because I did buy this last night at about 1:30. I was running out of energy, so I decided I'm going to try this because I love a racing game. So this is it. This is the game on Steam. The initial feedback is very positive. It's a Windows game, but it runs under Proton just fine. And I played this. You know, I was saying about all of those things and how unprepared I am, in part because I spent about 2 hours playing this between about 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. yesterday. But it is very pretty. It's, if you're old like me and you remember Super Sprint from the arcades, it's like an amped up Super Sprint. It is bags of fun. I absolutely loved playing it. So yeah, that was a good time waster and something I'm looking forward to playing a bit more with. And you know, other things that are going on is that, you know,
thank you for the follow, Andres Backside Live.
Thanks very much for the follow. We're only 5 away from the goal of 600. I don't know why my little goal things don't work and they work for everyone else. That's annoying. Hey Popey, how you doing? So yeah, I managed to squeeze in a bit of gameplay.
Thank you for the follow, Cube Blocks 404.
Thanks very much, Cube Blocks. I appreciate that. So yeah, you were asking what I do here. All Linux stuff. Yeah. My arcade still has that. Yeah, Super Sprint. Yeah, it was that was brilliant. Lots of fun. So no, it was much needed, Paul. It was just the tonic. I just needed that little moment to just have a bit of a break, and then it gave me the energy to come back and do what I needed to do. Which let's get into that. So, Paul, I think it was Paul was saying they've been running 2110 Ubuntu MATE 2110, and it's been rock solid. I'm really pleased it has for you because this is sort of the sort of thing I prepare when I'm in the last stages of a release. So let's that's not going to fit on the screen. I'm just going to have to resize that over here and bring that in again. Oh, that was frustrating. One moment, bear with me. I can't operate my mouse properly. Let's try that again. There we go. Oh, it doesn't want to resize at all. Awesome. Okay, well, we'll go with what we have. So this is let's just minimize this in the background. I can't minimize anything because I'm on the wrong screen. Right then, so this is sort of some notes. I can't actually make this bigger or anything. This was a bad idea. I tell you what, let's put this in a thing that we can actually manipulate a bit more easily. So let's just do this. Right, okay. Here we go. Let's use Visual Studio Code and put this up here. So this is like a little task list, if you will, of things that the QA team have brought to my attention in the closing week of the release. So I'll get back to what this is. In fact, I was just talking about this. So these are the 4 packages that are currently sat.
Thank you for the follow, Alvadoodle.
Thanks very much, Alvadoodle. I appreciate that. Cool. I wonder who's going to be 600. These are the packages that I've uploaded to Impish, but they're sat there pending. So they're not going to be in the ISO, but they will be, day 1 release updates. So what did we find? We discovered that MATE Screensaver, as it first appeared, was segfaulting, which was leaving people in a position where when the screensaver kicked in, you couldn't actually log back in. You just ended up with a black screen, no ability to unlock, and your only recourse was to hard reset the machine, which is less than stellar. This bug was literally on fire. So thankfully it's fixed, and I don't know if Danny's around, but if Danny's watching, thanks Danny for your help with this one. So a friend of mine actually had this problem. I couldn't reproduce it because it wasn't happening for me, and it's been reported as a screensaver bug, but it wasn't a screensaver at all.
Caveman Crafting.
Thanks for the follow, Caveman Crafting, and welcome to the stream. So it turned out it was what was seemingly an unrelated change in MATE menus, which is a thing that actually processes desktop files and things like that, populates items on the panel. And I had to do a git bisect, and I found there was one commit that looked a bit suspect. So I reverted that commit and rebuilt MATE menus, and the bug has gone away. But, reverting the commit and building it locally, that's relatively easy. That's a few minutes. But then, of course, I have to turn that into a proper patch, apply that patch to the packaging. We then build a proper version of the package, put that into our QA PPA and test it, which is what Danny was able to do, and confirm that the bug was fixed. And then I have to prepare a version of that for Focal and Hirsute and put that in our community PPAs for those people that are running those releases, and then prepare a version for Impish and upload that to the archive, which I've done, but then prepare that bug as an SRU with all of the documentation that goes with that in order for it to be validated as a proper bug that needs to be resolved and uploaded, and then finally push all of those changes to Salsa, which is the Debian source control platform, which is where all of the packaging exists. So each one of these bugs, forgetting the time required to actually triage and investigate the bug, figure out what the root cause of the problem is and fix it, there's then quite a chunk of work to actually deliver that fix to people. And it can't be underestimated just how much time that is. This bit, the triaging piece, can be significant investment in time sometimes. So this was the first one. I was pleased this one was fixed, because this one could have been a real nasty one, which would have left people feeling quite unhappy. This one was much easier to find. The sound icon was missing from the control center. And lots of people were furious about that. It turns out that was an easy one to fix, but it's the same process. I had to revert a commit that was in the new version, so there was a change to improve the validation of the desktop files, and it just meant that the sound icon wasn't appearing in the control panel anymore. Upstream are fixing that in a more robust way. I fixed it temporarily just by reverting the commit that changed this behavior, and in the next release I will incorporate upstream's more sort of comprehensive solution to this. But again, it's the same process of it then needs to be QA'd and uploaded to different places and prepared for different versions of Ubuntu, and then all that code needs to go to Debian. This we also have I have Danny to thank for this as well. So they work as a Snapcraft contributor. Hey Mayak, thanks very much. Thanks very much for the bits. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. So they work as a Snapcraft contributor, and they'd noticed that snaps weren't able to trigger notifications on the MATE desktop. And they not only identified that problem, but they created the patch that fixed it as well. And it was a really simple patch, but they, like I said, it's not necessarily that sometimes the fix to a problem is literally 8 characters in the right place in a text file. They actually identified the problem and went to the effort to find out how to fix it, and fixed it and supplied the patch. So again, that's been uploaded and validated and is in all the right places, so I'm pleased about that. And then this one was interesting. This one, somebody, it was Norbert on our QA team, alerted me to this one last night. So again, this one gets fixed. It doesn't sound all that bad at first. It says doesn't render icons for desktop files. It was a bit more problematic. So there's a new feature in Kaja, or rather, well, it is Kaja, but also MATE 126, which tries to prevent people from running maliciously crafted files. So last year there was a spate of maliciously crafted GIFs which could execute code being sent around desktop Linux users, and those were designed to sort of bypass the controls on the Linux desktop in order to execute malicious code. So there was a decent sort of white paper prepared by the person that had figured this exploit out, which affected a whole host of desktop environments. And now we have this trust model in the way that, what you can click and how it behaves. But in adding that extra security layer, it broke when you went and browsed like user share applications. None of those desktop files rendered with an icon anymore, which you do want. So this is a fix to that. And what was really interesting to me about this one is when I uploaded this, you get a little notification. In fact, I wonder if I've got the thing knocking around anywhere. I was very surprised to learn, oh crikey, I see there's more fixes. So I've just looked in our QA channel and I'm now seeing another fix. I have another patch I need to deal with. I can see immediately I want to land this. But when I uploaded, you get a little notification in the release IRC channel that looked like this. I'll just paste it in here. So I'll just go through what this is saying. So it's saying unapproved because I've just uploaded it. So here's Kaja being inserted into the impish proposed pocket for the universe archive. And it's the change of this version to this version. And if I just hit return here rather than reflow, you can see it's just this number here changing on the suffix of the package version, because what I've done is landed a patch basically in it's not a new version of the upstream software, it's a patch to that. But then there was this string here, and it lists Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu MATE, Ubuntu Chillin and Xubuntu. And I didn't know this, but all 4 of those, well obviously MATE makes sense, but the other 3 are all using Kaja as the file manager, and I had no idea. So I now have a sort of an extra duty of responsibility on this bit of software, because if I break it, I break it for all of these Ubuntu flavors as well. So, and I hadn't realized so many of them had switched over. I think Ubuntu Unity is planning to make the switch as well. I don't know if no, Ubuntu Cinnamon has Nemo, don't they? So they wouldn't want to do that. But there you go. That was something I learned in the process. And this is why I got pinged by the release team, because when I uploaded this fix and they were in the middle of respinning all of the images for all of the flavors, they went, hang on a minute, is this a release critical update? Because if it is, we need to put the brakes on, throw away these image builds and rebuild all of this stuff for these other flavors. Fortunately, it's just it's a significant, but it's just a visual issue. So I said, no, you don't need to respin the ISOs, but this is important as a post-release update. So that's what I learned. And then this one is still in progress, and there's a new version of VTE, which is the terminal emulator widget for GTK, and GDebi, which is a tool which you can use to double click on debs that you've downloaded to install them, can no longer install packages, which is a bit of a showstopper bug for its main purpose. And as you can see, I've got all stops here because we haven't identified the root cause yet. Gunnar, who maintains this package, has put a build in a PPA, but he doesn't have any confidence that it's actually a fix. So that is outstanding, and this could well be where you have to make a decision with the backlog of everything else that still needs to be done, like writing the release notes, as I alluded to earlier, which I haven't even started yet. This bug may just have to go unfixed for the release day, and it's now a work item to get fixed post-release. And that's always frustrating when you're working on something like this as your hobby project in your spare time for fun, and it is fun. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't enjoy it. But when there's something wrong with it, and you also know you don't have time to fix it, that's a little bit heartbreaking, because you think, and also going into like the last week of the release, a week ago I was in the same position as Paul said he was in. He'd installed it, he's been using it, it works great, no issues, it's a solid release. A week ago, that's where my mind was. I was thinking, well, this is in good shape, all I've got to do is do the release notes, and then all of this passes your desk, and it's like, it's actually broken in quite significant ways for a lot of people, and so it isn't quite ready just yet. So Linux Paul says they hadn't noticed the sound bug because Pavu control. So I hadn't noticed it because I just hit the super key, type sound, and of course it finds it. The desktop entry is still there. It's still in the menus for the applications under sound and video or whatever it's called, but it isn't in the control center. But I never open the control center. I just search. I always just mash the super key and type in what I want to find. So that was sort of the last in my spare time. This sort of summarizes what I've been doing in my spare time over the last 2 days. And this is fine, but at the moment I've just figured out how to do channel points integrated with OBS on Linux, and we had a little test of that at the weekend, and right now my mind is buzzing with interesting ways to make this stream more entertaining and fun for those of you that watch by hooking up all of this channel point stuff. And that's what I most want to be doing right now. I've got all these ideas for nifty things to do with OBS and Twitch and what have you, and that's where my mind is. That's what I want to be doing, but I'm having to be somewhat disciplined and keep my mind on, well, work and KubeCon, and then making sure the release goes out in a suitable quality. But the whole time I'm thinking I really want to be playing with OBS. Although I did find time last night to release a snap of OBS 27.1.3, which I'm using now. And that has a bunch of fixes and improvements in it as well. So yeah, that was that. I said, what did I say? There was something. Oh, it was ISO testing. So let's do that, right? So we know from what who was it? King Egypt mentioned that there was a big Z-Sync update for them, and I was explaining why that was, because everything got respun last night. So let's actually go and do this for reals. And I know on this stream recently I've sort of shown me developing features for QuickMU and how to use it to run Windows and Linux and all of that stuff. But actually, its main purpose when it became QuickEmu is to quickly test distros. So let's actually use it for what it was intended to do. So I'm just going to run quick get, and you can, oh, that was it. I had to fix a bug for Ubuntu. What was that? So I used it to start up Ubuntu. Oh yeah, it was for the snap of OBS. Somebody was saying that the file open dialogues don't work with the snap of OBS on Ubuntu. Or at least I'd worked out, looking at the comments, that the common thread was it wasn't working on Ubuntu. Turns out Ubuntu don't ship the XDG desktop portal, and that's a requirement for a lot of modern applications now, and that's why. So at one point I was using QuickEmu to run Ubuntu in order to debug, what was going on there. So let's just do quick get Ubuntu MATE devel. So I already have this VM created, but what this will do is run that ZSync update. And this is a new feature I added when I created quick get a couple of weeks ago. By using the devel label, which isn't a real label for Ubuntu releases, it says go and grab whatever the latest daily image, irrespective of what release series we might be on. It's always the latest release series, but it always calls the thing devel. So I'd only got 3% changes, because I think I must have synced at some point yesterday as well. So this always keeps that up to date. And now what I can do is I can run QuickEmu, and I will do a delete, which will actually delete the disk image. So now I've got an empty VM, and we'll run the VM. Which screen did that go to? The wrong one. So now I can actually go through and do a quick bit of QA testing for what is now the release candidate for what will become Ubuntu MATE 21.10. So we'll just do a quick run through, and whilst this is load, this is going to make a noise. I do apologise. That wasn't too loud, I don't think. At least I hope it wasn't. So let's I'm inside the VM. Let's get outside the VM. Let's bring up the browser. And let's get on the right screen. Let's try and put the right key phrase in. There we go. Right then, I wonder if this is going to log me in a sensible way. No. One moment. Last pass is being awkward. So let's just go and get that, and right, okay. Now I need my magic number. Sorry for this moment here. So those of you in here, who's going to be updating to 21.10 of any flavour, and if you are, which flavour are you going to be going for? I won't be offended if it's not Ubuntu MATE. Right, Ubuntu 2-factor. Okay, let's get logged in. Right, better. So I need to log in as myself because I have release access. So we can see here that we're currently in testing for Impish Final, or you could if the text wasn't so small. So let's just make that a bit bigger. So if I click through here, you'll see, you've probably seen this before. You will have seen me do this more than once. Each of the flavors are listed here, including Ubuntu proper, and the server images are down here. And because things got respun last night, you'll notice some of the teams are on it. So Ubuntu have done two out of 2 of their mandatory tests, and they've highlighted remaining bugs. But Ubuntu MATE is here with no tests run at the moment. So if we have a look, we've got a number of test scripts. So I'll do this one. In fact, somebody's done that one. So I'll do I've started it the wrong way. I'll do manual partitioning. There we go. So let's go back here and say install. In fact, I'm going to go back. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do this. So while you show this to us, are you planning on adding things to release? I'm not. Can you just out to the release while you show us this? Are you planning adding things to the release note? I'm not quite sure what you're asking there, Takov. Can you just re-ask your question? So this is, Ubuntu MATE running off the live image, and you just want to make sure that the basic functionality is working. There are a bunch of things we go through in order to ensure everything's just fine, but for my purposes, that was good enough. So this is what we call smoke testing. I know that nothing of significance changed in the respin of Ubuntu MATE that happened in the early hours of the morning. So I'm not going to be thorough about going through absolutely every test. I want to make sure that the basics work. So let's just do this, and when we get to the disk bit, we'll do that by default. So Mayek's going to be updating to 2110 by the looks of it. And if you're not running Ubuntu or Ubuntu 2110, what distro are you using or plan to use in the near... Oops, I've done the wrong thing. Go back. I said I was going to do this, didn't I? Something else. Oh, I found a bug. Typical. I think I've got it to the point where it's gone down a path, and that's the only path it wants me to go down now. I wonder if I can change. Yes, there we go. Right then, so let's do manual partitioning. We'll do a 512 beginning. We'll make this EFI, and rest of the space we'll make ext4. It's fine. Root, that'll do. Okay, and install. There we go. So that was me doing manual partitioning. So that's me. We'll call this Mate Devel. My password is test, by the way, and off we go. So we'll let that install. So this is nice. So this was one of the other things I was talking about, things that happen in the closing moments. Again, I was saying I haven't been as well prepared for this release. Last Thursday, I think, I realized I hadn't done any of the artwork updates for the mascot, and it was literally hours before that stuff could be submitted. So rather hastily had to go and drop the mascot artwork into the installer, and also hopefully we can actually test that this is it, because I haven't looked, but hopefully yes, here we go. So we've got the mascot artwork, and the only the only photograph of an injury that exists on Unsplash is also included. And there's a bunch of these, like this screenshot in the installer needed to be updated to actually have the system information for Impish. Which other ones did I have to tweak? One of the others. Not that one. Not that one this time. Not that one. But this one. So for the video player, I downloaded a trailer for a BBC documentary, and that's an injury as well. We always put the mascot, an image of the mascot in the video player in the installer. So
thank you for the follow, Kane 22,555.
Thanks very much, Kane. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, that's doing the install. So this is good. Those last fixes are in there, so those artwork fixes. I really need to get better disciplined at creating the new artwork, not the mascot, but creating the packaging for the release series early for the artwork, so it's not a stress at the end. So King Egypt says oh, actually, Linux Paul did make a mocktail. Do you want to paste a link to that, Paul? Put that in here. I thought that was brilliant. I also saw that you'd put a footnote. I don't think it was on the page, but certainly you'd shared with me that you can add rum to it and make it a dirty cocktail, which I think I'll favour that option. I might, maybe, releases tomorrow. Maybe I'll find the moment. Thank you, Paul. So there we go. There's a link to Linux Paul's website where he created the Ubuntu MATE mocktail. I will open that up over here. We can have a quick look at that. So here we go. So it's the Ubuntu Chelsea Cucumber Mate Mocktail. Wow, that's a mouthful, quite literally. So the ingredients are 1 large cucumber, 2 limes, 3 mint leaves, some water, some soda water, 2 tablespoons of agave syrup, and a pinch of sea salt. Wow, check it out. So peel and dice the cucumber and add to the blender. So peel, okay, and dice and blend. Add the water, lime, mint leaf syrup and salt. Blend until smooth. Strain it. Oh, so you leave all of the pulp out of this thing, is that right? And add the soda water to the jar. Serve over ice and garnish with a cucumber slice or lime wedge. Sounds mojito inspired. I don't know if that's correct, but I think maybe when you mentioned this to me in Discord, links to Discord below, or go to wimpysworld.io/Discord to join our Discord. There's nearly 1,700 of us in there now. I think you mentioned you can do this with rum, and I'm like, yeah, I'm assuming white rum, by the way. But that sounds. I think I might have to have a go at that this weekend. That's probably a good idea. Expect me with a large icy glass of the Ubuntu Chelsea Cucumber Mate Mocktail soon. Right, our VM is installed, so we'll just say restart, and we'll make sure that first of all, we'll make sure that this restart process works, because sometimes this stops working properly. That's behaving fine. And we'll just make sure that the base system works, and then we'll go and put 2 tick boxes in the it's been tested, and I will politely request that the QA team weigh in with a more comprehensive battery of tests. So there we go. The first thing we'll do is send the telemetry. That counts 1 for the good guys. And I'll tell you something we could do is, if you were interested in testing those fixes that I was referring to that are outstanding, we can apt add Ubuntu MATE Dev QA team. Because the...
Thank you for the follow, Sir _Oibav.
Thanks very much, Oibav. Appreciate that. And congratulations, you are the 600th follower on the stream, which was a goal that I was shooting for. So welcome and thank you. You're not the Oibav of the Oibav PPA by any chance, are you? So let's just update that goal now, because we're there. So let's start a new goal of follower goal. Let's make it 750. Why not? That's a nice number. There we go. Start goal. Oh, it's doing it now. Look at that. It's put it in the chat. This is what I was expecting to see, and it's never done it until just now. Oh, well, there we go. If there's no one that's followed, please follow, because that might do a thing, I guess. At least I hope. So what I did there was I added the PPA for the QA team. And now if we apt upgrade, is that going to do anything clever? Indie Monkey.
Thank you for the follow, IND1MOnk3Y.
Well, I'm not seeing anything pretty. Are any of you in your chat? Hello, welcome, and thanks for the follow. So you can now see, look, here are these fixes that I was referring to. So I can now be running all of those fixes and test those. This is why we went through that process of uploading and creating versions of these packages for the different releases in different places, so the QA team can test it and people that are using our backports also get the fixes. So I'm going to say that's a pretty good test. I'm pretty happy with that. I haven't seen any obvious breakage. Oh, I see our little Tux is ice skating along the bottom rather than swimming at the moment. So I'm going to shut that one down. We're going to call this a successful smoke test. And we'll go over here, and what we'll say is we did manual stuff and we did the live session, and I'm going to tick that box there. So that was a very quick way that I could do some smoke testing. Now, if you want to help out the other flavors, because let's not forget, everything got respun last night. All the flavors need help getting their testing in order. If we just take a look at one of these, let's look at this one because it's the simplest. This is a script. It describes what you should do in order to prove that the full disk install is working correctly. So you can follow these steps, and this person here has Leok, and they've updated with, you know, what they tested on, and they've said yes, it all worked. And you'll find that for all of the flavors, including Ubuntu itself, these test scripts, instructions of what to do exist, and you can go into any one of them. So I tell you what, I was talking about Ubuntu earlier, so let's go and find theirs. They'll be at the bottom, won't they? So they've got 5 tests. Let's look at one of theirs. They've got a no network option, which we don't have in ours.
Thank you for the follow, Code Orangutans.
Code Orangutan, thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. So here's Ubuntu's test case. So you can follow this, and you can use QuickEmu to do it, because that'll easily download the ISO for you, create you a nice VM that's all optimized and tries to get everything set up the way you need, and then you can run through these test cases. And this is good to do things like making sure the software works. You know, it's always good to do some of these QA tests on actual hardware, because that throws up, you know, a more interesting, diverse set of results, because, you know, people have got different GPUs and CPUs and wireless adapters and all the rest of it. So if you've got some time between now and tomorrow, doing a ISO QA test for your favorite flavor is a great way to help those teams out. So Indie Monkey asks, what's up? Oh, hang on a minute, I'll get to that. I just noticed, King Egypt, I'm installing today to miss the crush. Yeah, if you grab the latest daily image, I think it's extremely unlikely that's going to get respun now. It's essentially the release candidate, and what I mean by that is that image that is currently sat, in fact I'll show you what I mean. Link to the download information instructions, right? So here is the ISO image, the daily ISO for Ubuntu. If there is not another respin, like I say, I don't anticipate there will be, all that will happen, I say all, but what will happen is this image will be renamed and called, you know, Ubuntu-desktop-2110 blah blah blah, and put in the release directories. So, you know, you can confirm that that's the case because you can look at the, you know, the chars to compare them. So, you know, if you download today and install it, chances are that is the final version that will be out tomorrow. Indie Monkey asks, what's up, Wimpy? Just getting ready for the 2110 release.
Thank
I
you
discovered
for the
that you're streaming
YouTube.
a few weeks ago. Cool to see you here. Well, you're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. You were one of the people that came on chat with Big Daddy. Was right, okay. So I saw that. What's it called now? I've forgotten the name of the thing. Biddle. Is that back? And is Rocco doing it, or is somebody else hosting these days? Hello, Jeff. Welcome back. How you doing? Right then. So we've done a bit of testing. I've shown you how that works, and I've explained I've got a ton of stuff to do, including a memory leak apparently that has been discussed by one of the upstream Mate developers in our Discord. So at wimpysworld.io/discord is our Discord server, sort of for these streams, for the YouTube channel and all the rest of it. But it's also where the Ubuntu Mate developer team hang out and some of the upstream Mate team. So that's where we, you know, do a lot of our communication, collaboration and what have you. And it's where the live chat is for the Ubuntu Mate community. Oh yeah, gosh, I know who you mean, Nate. So Nate's taking it on. That's good. I like Nate. He's good. He's good people. So anyway, I'm just looking in our Discord and I can see that there's a memory leak that's being reported, and looks like a couple of people have commented on what needs to be done there, so I'll have to look at that as well. So I need to fix that one. That's another memory leak. Man, we've been fixing a lot of those in Mate recently. So fix a memory leak and write the release notes. Oh boy, write the release notes, man. It's a lot of work. But before that, full day of presenting at KubeCon, so I'll be getting ready to do that. So yeah, we're going to be streaming later today over on the Slim DevOps channel, so twitch.tv/Slim DevOps, and I'm going to be streaming with my colleague Aisha, and she has analysed the top 100 most impactful containers. And we're going to be going over her analysis and report and showing what we've discovered in the process of doing that. So if you're interested or work with container technology, probably something you want to hop over to Slim DevOps and give us a follow there. We'll be streaming at, I think, 6 or 7 p.m. I'm getting a bit confused because we do a stream at KubeCon in the virtual event and then we come over to Twitch, and I can't remember exactly, but it's in our schedule actually. It's in the Slim DevOps schedule exactly when we'll be streaming, so give us a follow over there, look at the schedule, and you'll see when we're going to be going live and covering all of that stuff off. We've got a full schedule of live streams over on that channel this week. Well, thanks very much for stopping by, Indie Monkey. I stream most mornings, but I'm a bit time shifted because of KubeCon this week, and also I've not been able to get to my usual office where I do the live streams much earlier in the day because we're down to a single car, and my wife and daughter need it, so I'm Billy No Mate stranded back at home again. Feels like lockdown. I need to sort out my wife's car so I can get back to the other office. Right, well, I think that sums up sort of, what I wanted to take a look at. I answered some of your questions there about, the closing hours, days of a release. If you've got any others, ask now. But if I don't see any turn up in the next few moments, I think we'll start to put a bow on this, and let's have a look here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Goodonark. Wow, I really struggle with some of these usernames. Thanks very much. Yeah, this is good. This is a good tee up, I think. Whenever there's a new release of the desktop environment, there's always a few little rough edges, which we're just working through now. But this is great timing because it gives us 6 months to work out all of those wrinkles into point releases for MATE desktop, which means we'll have a nice sort of bug-free release for what will be 2204, and it means that works out of the way. So we did a whole bunch of UI and artwork uplift last cycle. This cycle, it's all about the new version of MATE, and then next cycle, going into the 2204 release, is basically I just want to look at all of the little rough edges, the finesse and improvement that can happen, and just polish what we did in the preceding year. So improve the Uru theme for MATE, add some finishing touches to the artwork integrations, and use the new spinner boot splash and what have you, and just bring it all together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 2204. I think we're in a good place for that release at this point. Might change the default panel layout for 2204, because why not? Make a big grand gesture. So thanks, King Egypt. Yes, as you have well pointed out, I 50% of the time making the release notes will be picking the right emojis. Absolutely. Oh yeah, King Egypt, good point. Well done. Thank you for reminding me. I always overlook that. I must do better. So let's go and deal with this. Let's go and see. Okay. I can see there's a couple of people that I follow that are streaming at the moment. So much game development stuff. It's not surprising, really, is it? Ah, here we go. Let's drop in here. So, I still haven't got very slick at this raiding business, but let's have a go. So, we will do this thing. I will click on that. That's muted. That's fine. Good, good, good. Right then. Let's start this process. So thank you all very much for coming. We're going to go raiding. And I'll start that now. I will be streaming definitely tomorrow sometime, definitely Friday sometime, so I hope to see you then. But with that, let's head over to Mr. Dindy, I think, who looks like they're doing some game dev stuff, so we'll get over there. So thanks very much for coming, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Let's kick off the raid. Bye for now.